hockey playlist or hockey warm up playlist.
And when we get done, I of course gonna close it out. But what do I?
Those goosebumps every time you come around, you ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those times, I'm way too numb, it's way too dumb, I get those goosebumps every time. I need the Heimlich, throw that to the side, I get those goosebumps every time, when you're not around, when you throw that to the side. When I'm pulling up right beside you, pop star Lil Mariah. When I text kick game wireless, throw a stack on the Bible. Never Snapchat or took Molly. She fall through plenty, her and all her guineas. We at the top floor, right there off Duini.
It's like my cannot change. Deep off in the main. Reminisce, we like candy cane. Drop the top, pop it, let it bang. Like I cannot change. Deep off in the main. Like candy cane. Drop the top, pop it, let it bang. Drop the top, play hide and seek. Jump inside, jump straight to the lead. Take a sip, feel just how I be. Off the way, but knowing that the breeze. But still ain't nothing changed. It's winning now. Soon as you rock the chain, she caught the waves, just coming through my brain. But it's like I cannot.
Hello, and welcome back to the Inside the Dam podcast. Thank you for tuning in to this latest edition of the show. The podcast is produced by KMSU TV and Radio as part of a partnership with Minot State University Athletics. We are glad to be joined by more talented and fantastic guests reigning from all the Beaver teams on campus. The Inside the Dam podcast is proudly sponsored by Papa John's. They have 2 locations in Minot and the Air Force Base. Search for Papa John's in Minot online through your device and seek out any deals that are currently available. They can also be reached at 701-852-7272. That is 852-PAPA to place an order over the phone. We thank Admir and the Papa John's crew for their tremendous patronage. We will be right back with our next guest.
Welcome back to Inside the Dam podcast. It's a modified version brought to you by Papa John's. I'm Morgan Kellum. We are back for another great show tonight with a great partnership with MSU Athletics and with with three amazing student athletes and guests on the show. Today I have... How are you tonight?
I'm pretty good, man. Just loving the warmer weather here in Minot. I think it was about, 40 degrees out walking here.
Yeah.
Felt pretty good.
That's good. So I noticed that you're from the Bahamas. What made you come to the States to become a track star? Because I see that you were part of the track and field athletic community.
Yeah, well, I was looking to transfer actually to play basketball here in the States. I hadn't ran track at the collegiate level before I came to Minot, but I was coming off an injury. I was really just looking to get into a school over here that would give me the platform to at least get back in shape athletically and then transfer out. Obviously, I ended up staying, finishing out my undergrad years. So, yeah, I mean, the backstory to that is just that. I was really just looking to transfer somewhere, quick pit stop, and be on the way out. But I'm happy, more than happy, for this city of Minot State, and all that I've been able to accomplish here, undergrad and now as a grad student.
Mm-hmm. So what college did you come from the Bahamas to play basketball or run track?
Yeah, well, I was coming from University of the Bahamas.
Oh, okay.
So back home, obviously university there. I had gotten accepted into a few D1 schools, 3 to be exact. But like I said, when I hurt my ankle, I was not able to remain in those offerings for those schools. So I was rehabbing, and once I got healthy, looking to get into schools here in the States, and Minot happened to be that place.
So with track and field, what were the events you were competing in?
I ended up competing heavily in long jump, indoor and outdoor. If not long jump, in the sprint track events, the 60 and 100 meter, and then partake in the 4x100 meter relay as well.
Yeah. Did you I know you're a retired athlete. So if you could go back, would you go back and continue going through, or did you use all your eligibility years? And
I do have 2 more years of eligibility left, but my body is just nowhere near the point where it should be health-wise to compete competitively. My last meet, I tore my Achilles in Minnesota State, Mankato, and so even now, every now and then, I still feel a pain here, a nudge there. So I couldn't imagine putting my body through the time of practicing and jumping and all that's necessary to at least give myself a shot at competing. If I were to ever feel that good again, which I didn't really feel that much healthy even when I was competing, I'll honestly give it a shot competing again, because I wouldn't just want those eligibility years to go to the grave. But as of right now, oh man, I can confidently say my body is not up to par to do that again.
So if you could, would you go back into coaching and come back into coaching and go to the collegiate or either high school level?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now my master's degree program is sports management, and so I'm really looking forward to seeing where that leads. I've always loved seeing the growth in people older, younger than me. In the summertime, I coach at a basketball camp, the same basketball camp that helped to build me growing up as a kid. So at some point, if I end up coaching, kids, high schoolers, collegiate, pro, I see myself doing it. Sports agency as well. If it was sport, basketball, track and field, those two in particular. I'll dabble in some volleyball, believe it or not, because I feel like I love scheming the game of volleyball. I get to call volleyball here as a broadcaster. But mainly basketball, man, because it's a sport that's stuck with me since I was a child. So, yeah, if I had the opportunity, I really would go back and coach. Yeah.
You said you were a play-by-play for the school here. How hard was it to adjust to calling different sports all through the same?
Oh, it's tough. I won't lie and tell you it's not tough. I mean, I've had games where I've called basketball or volleyball and run over and join Cole in the booth for football, and I'm different 5 minutes going from hardwood, court to running over and having to say field and gridiron, little stuff like that. And then the mental notes of understanding what's happening in which game and when. It's a lot. My body has to flip on and off a lot of switches, and I'm just happy that as time goes on, I'm finding it easier and easier to turn those switches on and off, and I hope there's never a time where I'm so locked into one sport that I can't flip that switch off and be able to call another sport.
Yeah. So what made you get into play sports management? Is that what you wanted to do when you were growing up? Or you had like a different passion?
So growing up, I did have professional basketball dreams, and again, going back to this injury, man, my injury, it really opened my eyes to realize that I can't just rely on my body and physical attributes to just carry me for the rest of my life. And when I think it really hit home to me when a lot of the bigger schools didn't keep my offers anymore. Then I realized, like, whoa, okay, now what? And then I realized, okay, I know so much about the sport. I know so much about sports. I mean, pretty much every day when I thought about it, I had my life engulfed some way, somehow around sports, whether it's on my phone or my computer, my TV. I'm doing something that involves the world of sports. And so I realized, okay, where can I go with this? And I thought about broadcasting. I'm pretty comfortable speaking-wise. Code switching, you know, it's starting to come to me more and more and more. And so I said I'll give it a shot. Which is another reason I forgot to mention for Minot State. I was looking at schools that had a broadcasting department, and right now Hartnett Hall is being renovated, but Hartnett Hall did catch my glimpse, and I said, okay, I really would see where I can go with this. And again, it's working out pretty good for me so far.
Yeah. That's the same reason I came here, is because I had a pro comm and broadcasting and stuff. You graduated 2 years ago in the spring. It looks like spring.
Yeah, we just got to get used to saying 2 years ago because New Year just starting out.
So how many more years do you have on your graduate before you?
Right now, just this should be my last year, 2 semesters. So December this upcoming year, I should be done with all the grad school courses and everything.
And then what are you looking to go into? Sports agency, sports like management, doing like athletics, like an athletic director, or just settling down, taking a step back, and figuring out what you really want to do with that degree?
Yeah, man, that's the beauty of having 2 degrees. I mean, I'll have one undergrad in the sports broadcasting aspect, and obviously the master's will be in the sports management aspect, and I can choose jobs from either one, or, you know, if it opens up for a job that both of those degrees can tie into one job positioning, I'll be looking out for positions such as that.
So you like basketball and track and field. So would you, if you could get a job for like a pro team to become their broadcaster or their voice, is what people like to say, is that something you would love to do, is to broadcast professionally?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. If I can get there as soon as I graduate, I'll probably be there for the rest of my life, man. Just to be able to be a part of an official sports team as their play-by-play announcer, as their voice, as you mentioned, you know, that is the goal. That really is the goal. So,
like going back to your roots back in the Bahamas, would you ever consider, like, I don't know if they have broadcasting for their universities and for like the national team, would you ever consider broadcasting for those guys?
Yeah, absolutely as well. You know, being on an island, we obviously don't have, you know, sports teams of this magnitude here in the States, but you mentioned it, national team has sporting events that I can be the voice of. With those, it just comes down to, we have broadcasting corporations. I'd more than likely have to work under them. And so it's kind of tough, you know, because the big athletic events are only happening, you know, seldom throughout the years, not really as consistent as a league, which is a big advantage of being under a sports team, like a professional sports team or even a college team or a high school team. They all follow some sort of schedule. They're a part of a league, a part of a system that works around the clock all year round, so that's a big advantage. But if something opens up back home, I'll always give it an option. Yeah.
So going back to like all your sports and what you did growing up and stuff, did you ever get to try out for the national team or like the junior national team, like there is here in the States and everywhere else around the world?
Yeah. So I actually was admitted to the U15 junior national team for the Bahamas basketball team. That was a big thing for me. It was exciting, man, just being able to practice and go through all the progressions. I actually met the 2012 NBA championship, LeBron James and Heat squad, when they came down to the Bahamas for training camp. At the time, the younger guys, quote unquote younger guys, were able to be like next prospects, and so that was one of the perks, getting to meet those guys. Played against some top NBA players right now. Embarrassingly, played Trae Young on the Atlanta Hawks. Showed my roommates video of that. De'Aaron Fox on the Kings, Malik Monk on the Kings, Bam Adebayo, all those guys when they were teens. Played against them. Just last summer when I went home, walked right past the gym after I finished a workout. Jonathan Isaacs on the Magic, he was coming in, and I hadn't seen him since we played against each other years ago. And I looked up, and he was like, "Hey," and I was like, "Whoa!" And I'm like, "You grew, I didn't." Like, it's crazy, man. Yeah. So, yeah, that was a big perk of being able to compete at a national level. You get to meet certain people, and it's just great to see, all of us pretty much from the top of my head just moving forward in some way, shape, or form in a positive way.
So, like, going back to, like, the Bahamas, do you one day wish to be on that national coaching staff or, like, a college coaching staff there, like, teaching what you know and expressing that, hey, it's even though we're a small country, we can still make it out type of deal?
I would love to, man. I really would love to. And right now, this is seeming to be a year with the 2024 Paris Olympics where the Bahamas national team can make some noise. We got Klay Thompson saying that he'll compete for the Bahamas team because he's born Bahamian. You have Buddy Hield, leading three-point shooter in the league right now. You got Kai Jones, DeAndre Ayton, guys in college that I grew up playing, Garvin Clark, a lot of guys, Dayton Albury, a lot of guys who are really doing their work at the collegiate level. Franco Miller Jr. These guys are just putting in so much work, and so the squads, as the years go on, are seeming to be much more, like you said, developed and can compete at that Olympic level and, who knows, even shoot for a medal. So if I can, at some point in time, get on that coaching staff, I wouldn't turn it down for nothing, man.
So coming full back to, like, college, when you do graduate, are you going to, like, stay in the Minot area and see if you can get a job here, or are you going to go somewhere warmer because the cold's killing, or are you just going to figure out, like, see what I've done and send my work to different, like, ESPN, Fox, all those companies?
Yeah, see where my work sends me, man. Like, those big companies, I know they sound great and all, but I can't forget what helped me to get my start. Minot was that place. Minot's given me the opportunity, so I won't just immediately take my degree and ship out. I'm really gonna see where my talents take me.
That's good. I also see right here that you used to host this podcast and host other podcasts. How is that going from this talking to other people to going right into play-by-play and for the school and the state?
I mean, it's not much of a transition in my opinion, man. It's pretty much a big factor of me just being comfortable, like I said, in a speaking role. The microphone, I own the microphone. Comfortable having interactions, not just on the mic, but away from the microphone, and just being comfortable in who I am and who I'm speaking with, and being respectful is a big part of that as well. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, that's all the time we have, and thank you so much. This is Howard Wade. He's a grad assistant here at Minot State. He's traveled the world, you could say, and it's been a pleasure talking with you.
Yep, same here, man.
Hello and welcome back to the Inside the Dam podcast. Thank you for tuning in to this latest edition of the show. The podcast is produced by KMSU TV and Radio as part of a partnership with Minot State University Athletics. We are glad to be joined by more talented and fantastic guests reigning from all the Beaver teams on campus. The Inside the Dam podcast is proudly sponsored by Papa John's. They have 2 locations in Minot and the Air Force Base. Search for Papa John's in Minot online through your device and seek out any deals that are currently available. They can also be reached at 701-852-7272. That is to place an order over the phone. We thank Admir and the Papa John's crew for their tremendous patronage. We will be right back with our next guest.
Welcome back to Inside the Dam podcast, brought to you by Papa John's. I'm Noah Fredrickson, and we are back for a great partnership with MSU Athletics. And with us, we have three awesome student athletes as guest shows on the show. We got Cole
Clementich.
Yeah,
I know the name is kind of hard to pronounce.
Yep. So I just have a few questions for you. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Noah. Thanks for having me on here.
Yep, I'm excited to get to know you a little better, ask you a few questions. Wanted to start. So I see you received your bachelor's degree in professional communication here, correct?
Sure. Yep.
I was wondering if you wanted to take me through kind of that whole process, getting that bachelor's in professional communication.
Oh boy, yeah. If I can just trim it down to, make it long story short, it was kind of my freshman year. I was originally in the music department, and it was one of those deals where I had signed up for the 101 like student experience. I'm already spacing out what it's called, but it was one of those deals where they were required classes for classes getting through all of your gen stuff, like your maths, your sciences, your language arts, and music just so happened to be on that list that I was most intrigued by. And going through, a whole semester, it just felt it wasn't for me. I ran into, cases where, it just, I kind of lost a little bit of passion for music. And going in, I thought maybe I could play. I was a high strings. I played the violin, and I thought maybe I could give this a shot. College music, playing the violin. Let's give it a shot. And to declare my no ill to these. They're great people there, but I felt like I was pressured to do things, get me to declare my major instantly, and be able to also, participate in things that that were really time consuming, and at the worst, or maybe not the worst times, but do things that really took a bulk of your time, and it wasn't for me. Like, I had other things to do. I had a life at night, and in the evening, and so yeah, that was that. I just took a load of classes for just a semester, and that was it. And then I found out I took some mentoring with then advisor at the time, Heather Martin. She showed me this intro to broadcasting course, and she was like, we can take one of your gen eds just to try it out, see if you like it. And I was like, okay. Sure enough, that ended up being my best class that semester, and I got to learn that sports is a big part of this industry. And they toured me around the facilities, and really the rest is history. Like, I now made my own podcast during that. I did my own freelance sports coverage, and I know it's a lot to take in, but yeah, that's really kind of, I've bought into the sports broadcasting, and I've learned a lot. I've grown, and it was a great experience overall.
Yeah, that sounds kind of exactly the shoes I'm in, the sports broadcasting world, and I'm excited to you mentioned. So yeah, bachelor's degree, did it end up taking you 4 years, or?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And now are you getting your master's now? Is that what you're working on?
Yes, so
currently?
master's, it's the same case as Howard Wade, our guest beforehand. I'm in sports management right now. It's a lot of so what's really unique about this program is that we get a lot of coaches involved, people who want to be leaders or like work for a sports team or work as like a general manager or some kind of assistant or like managing money and stuff for like a sports team for you name it. We take classes like a bulk of our load. We take leadership classes, we take management classes, we take there's of course sports centric classes. I'm taking sports law right now, so we're learning a lot of case studies involving high school activities associations in and around the all of it. It's a big deal going around in the country, and we're learning of such cases how schools have to be compliant with NCAA guidelines, and high schools are starting to implement students starting to get paid, and all these transfer rules and stuff. It's the Wild West, man, and we're getting to learn about that a little bit. And then there's sports media. At some point, sports media and event planning, I think, and of course, Capstone will be coming along here in the near future. I'm sure Howard, when I talk to him, he'll be able to kind of give me some input on what kind of to expect, because I think he's a semester ahead of me. Yeah, looking forward to the rest of what we have going on.
Yep, it sounds pretty awesome. You sound like you're a busy man. Before we continue, I'd like to give our sponsor, Papa John's, a shout out. Hit them up on their website and search for any deals that they may have going on. Search Papa John's in Minot. They can also be reached at 701-852-7272. That's 852-PAPA to place an order over the phone. All right, so you're also from Minot, grown and raised here in Minot.
I
else?
I was actually born in Denver, but I moved here when I was one. Only backstory is we actually have the family farm is in Upham, in the Upham area. That's where most of my dad relies, and we have cousins in Montana and more cousins on my dad's side that live in Devil's Lake. My grandma lived up here, and great-grandma that lived in Rugby for a long time, so there's a lot of family connections up here, that hence the move to Minot when I was really young, of course, and I was still, had no awareness or surroundings, or no awareness of my surroundings when I was just a young buck, so... But yeah, ever since then, I was born in Denver but raised in Minot, and I've seen a few things here and there happening, like the 2011 flood, of course COVID. We all recognized how that happened, and but just seeing the town grow to what it is today, like all these new businesses, all these entertainment or ways of entertainment, more food places, and it's just amazing, and it's the Magic City for a reason. Like it grew once overnight. It grew so much overnight, and it was just that's really how they got their nickname, Magical. So, yeah.
So yeah, growing up in Minot, you had a few options for schooling. So from grade school, where did you end up going?
So I was actually moving around in my elementary school days, and it was kind of a conflict of interest with my parents and the selection of teachers they wanted me to get involved with, and I was actually in not to call myself out here a little bit, but I was actually really young growing up. I was more in not the special needs, but like the special ed for because I got caught behind a lot growing up, and so I needed like some extra time with like in some special sessions with professors, some teachers. What am I saying? So these teachers and that specialized in getting students all caught up. I was caught behind, and really my focus was lost track a few times, and really to think about. I was part of the autism group, so I had autism growing up, and so yeah, it was the focus. It was a struggle at times, but just really in middle school, like I rocketed into this, being able to identify these things and focus on better on my schoolwork, and Not that I wasn't bad at it. It's just, I needed some extra boost, motivation, and to this day, like I still need some motivation here and there. Of course, I'm on my own now, but no, I've grown since then. It was been a great journey. I'm sure my parents would tell you more about it, but yeah. And then high school was just normal, really. Just going through mine at high, it was great, and yeah, go Magi! They winning the state football championship this past season. So yeah, it was a nice experience to go to all the sporting events there.
See, I feel I'm coming from a small Class B school in Powers Lake, about an hour away from here, and
Nice.
I see these Class A events, and there's always a bigger student section than us smaller schools have. So I believe that would have been fun to be a part of. But yeah, that's cool. And then going back to your pro-comm era here at Minot State, you seem to be kind of one of the leaders of the podcast movement. As we see, you have Inside the Dam, Saturday Showdown, and MSU Inside Out. And those are some of your undergrad years.
Mm-hmm.
What was the process like of getting those up and started, and then the constant of keeping them up?
Well, the big key, getting together with a group, obviously, I'll start with Inside Out, is just, working together with your counterparts and making sure that, all microphones are set up. And, we would always go through the dry runs. I'm sure you'll go through this here in the next year or two. But, yeah, making sure everything's all set up, that we got cameras in place, the setup, the studio's ready to go, microphones are set. And then, as far as the talent side goes, I would always, when I was, so I was a sports anchor, and I did host for Inside Out as well. The first time I did the show, I was actually got the host position, thinking I was even close to competing well with some of the other experienced people in the class. Like I was going up against juniors, seniors, and I was a sophomore, very first time. But the judge thought my film was good and good enough, and I was like, oh wow, this is kind of a surprise. So this is a great experience. Got to interview many different people on campus and, of course, around the Magic City, and just produce good content for the show. And, on a one-on-one basis with my partner, my co-host, we always, try to go through the rundown of saying, okay, who's going to go through, or who's going to come out of the break, who's going to kick it to break, all that sort of thing. All the broadcast technique, the ethics and logistics of, just learning how to run a show in person. And, of course, the Inside the Dam podcast, I'm very happy with how it's grown lately. And, to this day, we're still very fortunate to talk to great student athletes and their talents. And we see a lot of them have successful careers, post-college, post-grad school, whatever it is. And, no, it's great. It's great all that we're doing with this program, and to go live on YouTube, have that opportunity to have just great people in the behind the scenes, the background, that help with the tech side of things, that help, like shout out to Derek and Adam and Lee Johnson. Of course, he helped spearhead this, that at least on the tech side, and then Neil helping us, get us started with some, good intros, making sure we have good intros, finding good content, of course, and all that, and so much more. And the Saturday Showdown, that was just a fun little college football pregame show we did. I hosted for 2 years, and it's Neil wanted it, or someone. It was either Neil or someone else wanted to keep it going, and it used to be a deal every other year, but now it's just kind of an every year thing. So hopefully, yeah, it's doing great. Of course, we went through the change of Coach Aldrich to now Ian Shields, and no issues there. And it's great additional content, not only for campus but for the department, for athletics' sake. And yeah, it's great to build more upon that.
Well, you seem to be a man who likes to take an opportunity and run with it, and it's cool to see all the work you've put in, and obviously you've helped along the way, but it's really cool to see. One of the really interesting things I've learned about you is you interviewed an NHL draft pick and 2 MLB draft picks. I would like to know who and how those went.
Yes. So for my podcast. So I run my own sports podcast, the Minot Sports Podcast. I started it January 2020, so midway through my freshman year, of course. Had to happen a couple months before COVID struck, but we found ways to stay active on there and innovate and adapt and overcome is really the mindset I kept with that. And but for the podcast, I started out making podcast episodes, but then I then created social media accounts on Twitter, now known as X, Instagram, Facebook, and I turned it into a freelance sports coverage outlet. So like you'll see KMOT, KX News, Minot Daily. You'll see all the sports reporters for those outlets. They're going out covering the game. They're either typing up on their computer, typing up a story, or you'll see the guys with the big camcorders over their shoulders, getting film and then heading back to the studio, putting all that film together, editing, and making a script, of course, for putting out the newscast or the sportscast on the news that night. And I just kind of threw myself in there, and it's like, why not? Let's try and do it, social media style. We type up score updates on Twitter, and I make graphics for the Instagram and, of course, Twitter as well. And like after so-and-so period, the score is this, or nice play by so-and-so with the alley-oop dunk or whatever. And, I would just type that up all on Twitter, just like so people can follow me, set up their notifications. And it was a good way to spread awareness. I do it. It's less for me. It's more for the kids in the community nowadays. It's being there for them, giving them an outlet, a platform, some support. And getting to this, I also did post-game interviews after each game. So after I was done posting the final score and stuff, I would always ask the coach, hey, can I get so-and-so for interviews? And so the Minot Minotauros, Tier 2 junior club junior team that we have here down in Minot for hockey, USA junior level, Tier 2, and they had a player by the name of Kyle Kukkonen. Like, he was a tremendous 200-foot player, and he possessed a lot of speed. Like his skating bursts were so good. He had good hands, and he played a lot of power play, penalty kill. Like, he was very versatile. And one time, I actually interviewed him twice, once during the regular season, and I think once during, like, right before postseason time one year. And then that very next summer, he was on the NHL Central scouting list, and I completely forgot about it until over the summer I saw that he got drafted 6th round by the Anaheim Ducks. And I was at work at the time, and here I look at my phone, I'm scrolling, and then I see the Toros reposted, congrats to our very own Kyle Kukkonen for being selected by the Anaheim Ducks. And I'm like, well, what the heck? I immediately texted their public address announcer about it. I was like, dude, what the heck? I should have seen this live. I totally spaced it out. But no, it was good for him. And the 2 MLB draft picks, one of them I interviewed before they got picked, and that was Bo Brewer. Once upon a time, we had a team called the Souris Valley Sabre Dogs here in town, and they were before the Minot Hot Tots. And he was a really good hitter, and defensively he was very stout as well, and he was just a nice all-around player. He got drafted very late, like almost towards the end, but the New York Yankees came calling, and he had an opportunity to play D1, I believe, at Kansas for a year, and just to improve his draft stock. But of course, you also run the risk of injury. But he just went straight to the Yankees system. So very proud of him. Very proud of Jackson Percorny as well. He actually played here at Minot State, and he was a 2016 pick of the Atlanta Braves, and it never materialized to anything. But yeah, it's still, you can't take that away from him. He was a MLB draft pick. So I got to talk to him when he was a Sabre Dog as well. So that was some cool experiences. And of course, I'm very blessed to interview a bunch of other people that have moved on to bigger and better things too.
Yep, that sounds like a lot of people's dreams is to talk with high-profile players like that, so that's really cool. Cole, I could do this all day.
I
could
feel
just
you,
talk
man.
and
Same
talk,
here, yeah.
but
we're getting close to it.
But unfortunately, we have a time cap, so I want to thank you for coming on.
Thanks
Guys,
for being
this
here,
is
Noah. Yeah, thank you.
Yep, this is Cole Clementich, Minot State's proud. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have our next guest on the show, and they will be joined by another Beaver student athlete or student in Pro Comm. So, as always, thank you to Papa John's for sponsoring the podcast.
Hello, and welcome back to the Inside the Dam podcast. Thank you for tuning in to this latest edition of the show. The podcast is produced by KMSU TV and Radio as part of a partnership with Minot State University Athletics. We are glad to be joined by more talented and fantastic guests. The Dam podcast is proudly sponsored by Papa John's. They have locations in Minot and the Air Force Base. Search for Papa John's in Minot online through your device and seek out any deals that are currently available. They can also be reached at 701-852-7272. That is 852-PAPA to place an order over the phone. We thank Admir and the Papa John's crew for their tremendous patronage. We will be right back with our next guest. Hello, and welcome back to the Inside the Dam podcast. Thank you for tuning in to this latest edition of the show. The podcast is produced by KMSU TV and Radio as part of a partnership with Minot State University Athletics. We are glad to be joined by more talented and fantastic guests reigning from all the Beaver teams on campus. The Inside the Dam podcast is proudly sponsored by Papa John's. They have 2 locations in Minot and the Air Force Base. Search for Papa John's in Minot online through your device and seek out any deals that are currently available. They can also be reached at 701-852-7272. That is 852-PAPA to place an order over the phone. We thank Admir and the Papa John's crew for their tremendous patronage. We will be right back with our next guest.
Welcome back to the Inside the Dam podcast, brought to you by Papa John's. I am your technically your third host, Logan Dean. So far we've had a great show so far, and we are glad to have a great sponsorship with MSU Athletics. And tonight we have 3 awesome, I would say just Minot State students here. Joining me today is a Minot native and an incredible photographer, Matt Bosch. Matt, thank you for joining me today.
I wouldn't call myself incredible just yet, but thank you.
I mean, I've seen some of your work. I would say it's pretty incredible.
It's not bad.
So I just have one little starter question here for you, Matt.
Sure.
What is your favorite restaurant here in Minot, and what do you like to get there?
It's got to be Ebb's, of course. I'm a Minot native. It's always got to be Ebenezer's. Like, probably my favorite thing is probably, like, of course, it's like the Fat Frog, the Philly cheesesteak, because I love Philly cheesesteaks, and maybe the fish and chips, just because their cod is like really well cooked. Like, it's good, and the breading's great too.
I've heard great things about the Fat Frog, and that is, even just not for a restaurant to go and eat, it's still an incredible place just to go and hang out with some buddies.
Yeah, I know a few people who work there, and they're pretty chill.
So getting into a little bit of your photography, when did you first get into photography, and why?
So it was my senior year of high school. I did take a photography class in high school my senior year, just to have the credits, just to be done with it. But I did not like it at all. My teacher was not very good, but during that I was taking another class called Applied Communications, which was taught by my English teacher, and I absolutely love that guy. Like, he was probably like my favorite guy I've like ever been with. Like, and I still talk with him to this day. I might love my English teacher, and basically he would teach us, like, photo, video, Photoshop skills, video editing skills, and that kind of stuff. First assignment he gave us was it's like, in a week I want you to take some cameras and take 100 photos of people. Then it has to be in focus. All 100 photos have to be in focus. I'm like, that's impossible, man. You kidding me? And I like barely touched the camera at that point. And what he gave us was like these really terrible Nikon cameras that are probably about like $50 each. And where do I take it? I take it to a sports game. And that was probably the worst and best decision I've ever done. One, if I look back on those photos again, which I'm pretty sure they're like lost somewhere right now, they're bad. They are bad. But no, like at the time, like my teacher thought it was good for what it was. Like, and apparently I had an eye for photography, and so like, I tried practicing more. And then like one day, my photography teacher made me mad so much because I learned a skill by myself from like YouTube and stuff, because like that's where I learned most of my skills, was just from YouTube. Learn that skill. Pull me off to the side one day after class. He said, like, I did not teach you this skill. You're going off my curriculum. You're failing this. You're going to be failing this assignment. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I've done like something right. He's like, yeah, but it's not my curriculum, so you're failing. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? I got so mad that I'm just like, you know what? I can't take this guy. I'm gonna prove him wrong. It was Prime Day at the same time too. I spent $800 on a new camera. Was that a bad financial decision on my part? Yes, I could have gone to college probably, but you know what? I was just mad. And bought it, practiced with it, did some more sports gigs, and that's how I kind of improved myself. And now that's kind of where I end up today now, where I'm basically running and owning my own business, which is pretty sick.
I mean, it sounds like investing into that $800 camera sounds like it was a pretty good investment of how far you've came with your photography.
It was the right choice at the time, and it's definitely helped me like translate that into Comm as well. So I'm grateful for doing that myself. So
speaking about your major Comm, why you're a junior, I believe here,
junior.
right?
Yep, second semester of my junior year.
Why did you choose the Comm department?
Mainly because like I thought like this is probably like the only major I'd be like interested in and having fun with, because like I'm bad at math, I'm bad at biology, I don't understand psychology, I don't understand this and that, like, but I was already taking a communications class. I already saw that there's a major for communications and like broadcasting, like video production, audio production, that kind of stuff. I'm like, boom, I'm in. Like that's cool. And then I also like submitted a scholarship application for like $500 for the Comm, and I got that right away. I'm just like, heck yeah, that's sick. That's $500 for a year. I'll take that. And so that's how I've been going on. And like people like Lee and Neil and Adam and Derek, they've been like basically teaching me everything I know already, and like it's just, I can't thank them enough, actually. So
yeah, I was pretty much the same way, coming for like taking just a random communications class and then finding out there was like a sports path in it.
Yeah, and
it just fell in love with it.
Yeah, well actually I'm not really interested in sports, but like
they do have other options, multiple other options.
Yeah, but I'm just like, I'm doing all this stuff in sports, so I take sports photos, and then like I also work for athletics right now as well. And it's just like, I don't know nothing about sports. When people ask me like, hey, do you know what this player did like last week or something? He did like this, that. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm just here to work. Like, for some reason, I'm getting so many gigs in sports, and I know nothing about sports. My biggest gig, of course, was WDUI, working for a state tournament and stuff. They pay me a lot of money just to sit there and run a camera for sports. And I'm probably going to be going in the sports industry anyway, because of how many opportunities I'm getting with sports. And you know what? I'll take it, to be honest. If I'm good at it, why not just like keep doing it?
So still on the topic of being involved with MSU athletics, how did you get involved with helping out with all the athletics that have been going around?
Well, I guess it started when Beck left, I guess. If you haven't heard the story already, Beck left MSU for broadcasting. They didn't renew their contract, so they're like, okay, we got no one to broadcast the games. And then they, of course, contacted Lee Johnson. Lee Johnson happily accepted the role to become a broadcaster for that. Left being a teacher here, which, you know what, it was good for him. But, he is technically still my teacher, I guess, now that I work with him. So when that happened, I was actually I was doing an internship at KX News, and I love those guys there. I absolutely love them. Like they gave me a great experience and stuff and everything. I could not thank them enough, but I'm just like, I want to do athletics. I want to work in this. And I thought that was like the best thing I could do for myself. And Lee really wanted me. He was like pushing to have me work with him in athletics. So I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. And then like I started working for athletics, start running camera for games, start helping out with like the setup, tear down, all the production stuff. So I guess like my actual title to athletics is like just student worker, but to him and stuff and like everyone else in athletics, I'm like the assistant broadcast director, I guess. I don't know. I'm kind of just like saying just like something I assume, but that's how basically I got involved with athletics, just because of Lee.
Seems like it's been a great opportunity for you. Do you still see yourself working with athletics after you graduate, or do you see yourself like continuing with your photography business? I
probably still will continue with photography. If I do want to continue the business, then like I'm more invested into it. And like at the moment, I don't see this going on as like a full-time thing. I may just like, I did my time, running this business. I have experience. Maybe I'll just like, it's time to stop and do something different, have a more stable job and stuff. Because like with photography, sure, you get a large amount of money because we have to charge a lot, but it's not consistent. Mm-hmm. It's not consistent at all. So that's why we have to charge a lot for our services. If you're ever wondering why we have to charge a lot, gear's expensive. Our experience, our time, our basic needs. That's why we have to charge a lot. And I know it seems like all we do is push a button, which yeah, we do. But that one action of pushing a button has lots of experience behind it. It's all about the man behind the camera, not the camera itself. And I feel like not a lot of people realize that, but that's just the truth. That's why we have to charge so much. But yeah, I feel like I would still work with athletics even when I graduate, because I actually want to go into grad school for sports management, so I'd become a GA and stuff. So that'd be like perfect for me.
Sure. So getting more into like your own personal photography, backtracking to that, do you have a favorite kind of photography that you do? Like, do you do different kinds?
I do different kinds. I mostly do sports. That's what most people hire me for, and like I mostly worked for. But what I've been liking a lot lately, and I never expected this, was actually like prom photography and party photography. So like first time I ever did prom, here I'll tell you like a story about how I got into photographing proms, and now I'm photographing proms for DLB, our Deemers, Kenmare now, possibly Bishop Bryan. Yeah, it's my prom photography is like probably my most famous, like that associates with me. I didn't know that because like I got an email from Kenmare saying like, hey, we want you for prom. Every student at the school apparently knows who I am. I'm like, how does every kid at Kenmare know who I am? Like, that's so weird to me. But essentially, the person who was coordinating the prom at DLB, that was for my first prom I've ever done. They're like, hey, could you do this for us? I'm like, yeah, I guess. Too, because I didn't know how flash photography worked, which when you're starting out flash photography, it's difficult. It's difficult. It takes a lot of practice. And like I watched a lot of tutorial videos, like, and I would literally stay up till 2 a.m. like studying this stuff and practicing. And there was one technique I found that was super helpful, that made my photos just like pop, and basically made it where I can use the flash I had at the time like more effectively and a lot better, and which like really helped. And once I did that, like that's did my meant to my in the prom industry and even in the party industry, which is like perfect. Like it's amazing to me that like that all that practice like really turned out for me. And now I'm like charging like so much for it because of how popular it is and how much like time and effort puts into it, because it does take a lot of time and effort to put into that style. But it's worth it. Like it's an amazing style to do. And I probably won't get into the, logistics of how that style is done, but like if you guys want to see that, go to my Instagram, I guess, if you want to see some examples. Sorry to shout myself out, but that's, if you ever want to see that, yeah, that's how I became like cemented with the prom industry. But yeah, proms and parties, because I even had a birthday party I covered this weekend, and that was fun too. Like that was amazing. I did the same style as that, and that's just super popular with everybody for some reason now.
I don't know, the photos that before this, you showed me some photos of the party you shot.
Yeah.
The photos did come out very nice.
I was pretty happy with those. Those were sick.
Before we get into a couple more questions here, I just want to thank Papa John's once again for being a proud sponsor of the Inside the Dam podcast. You can hit them up on their website, search for any deals they maybe have going on currently. Search Papa John's Minot. They can also be reached by phone number at 701-852-7272. That's 852-PAPA to place an order over the phone. And thank you once again for Papa John's being a proud sponsor of the Inside the Dam podcast.
Thanks, Papa.
They do have some pretty incredible pizza.
Heck yeah.
So just a couple more questions here for you, Matt. I've heard you've done a couple, I wouldn't say a couple, you've filmed hype videos for pretty much every MSU sporting team here at Minot.
Almost everyone, yeah.
Talk about how that process went with making those hype videos.
I mean, my job really was just to film it and edit it and put it all together. Howard was definitely the one who basically planned everything out, put it all together himself too. So the idea came up when Howard Wade, you heard him earlier on this podcast, and Cole as well. He helps out as well. Shout out to Cole. So Howard came up to me, just like, hey, we want to try this new thing where basically we don't want to make hype videos for athletics, because a guy who used to do it is now graduated. His name is Greg Spencer, and now that guy works for the Phoenix Suns as a creator for them, which is like super awesome. Like, hey, if I do this, the same thing that he was doing, maybe I could work for the NBA, the NFL, whatever. That'd be awesome. So I'm like, you know what? I'll take up the challenge. Let's do it. I know some things about video. Let's do it. And so we just kind of worked on it. And the first sport we did was volleyball. So we got some cameras together from the department, worked with some new gear and like new techniques and stuff that I've never done. So like that was the time I used a gimbal for the first time, which, it's really fun to use a gimbal, but it was definitely kind of hard at the first time. So we filmed the video for volleyball. I filmed most of it. I edited it all. And then we just kept doing this with each sport. And sure, there was like some tough times when making the videos. We've had a few people who were not happy with the videos, but I'm like, well, that's the best we can do, and this is what you asked for. But we try the best as possible, try to be as nice as possible to everyone, and how to be understanding, because that was probably the biggest thing about it, was trying to be understanding with everybody, and trying to get their vision on screen and trying to get our vision and our requirements too on screen as well. So we just had to. So Howard basically helped out with that a lot, trying to get everyone together and try to make that final product for everyone to enjoy on the big screen. And I think my best hype videos were definitely like the women's basketball video and the men's basketball video, since we tried some more like studio stuff. Honestly, I even like the wrestling videos a lot, especially the women's. They picked a great song for that. I love that. And I was up until 2 a.m. working on that, because the next day was their first duel, and I had to get that ready and into them. So I was working my butt off to get that finished. And you know what? It turned out great, even though I was just like tired and souped up on caffeine at the time. But it worked out so good. But yeah, it's been fun to work on those hype videos. And I just do all the filming. I do most of the editing and stuff. Howard's there to direct me to see, what should be in the video, what should not be in the video, and he's the one who just plans everything out.
That sounds like a great and like fun experience, or just not really experience, but like just a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
And like, speaking, like you talked about how you did most of the recording and editing. How long did that process take for you?
Editing was probably about 5 hours, but filming was probably about like probably 2 to 3 hours. So in total it was about like 7-8 hours around there. So it took a while. Some videos maybe took like maybe 2 days. Other videos took like a week or even 2 weeks. Probably because we just had a lot of time. We were kind of just lollygagging, but it's better to have like a lot of breaks when you're working on big projects like that, because like when you're staying up late and you're like, oh, it's great. You wake up in the next morning, you check it out, and it's just like, what was I thinking? And so we just have to be like, it's good to take breaks when editing videos. I know people who like are out there for 8 hours a day on the computer. I'm just like, I don't know how they can do that. Like, that's just insane to me. But it's their jobs, and maybe it might be my job too. So I better get used to it.
I definitely see you doing continuing with this. One last question for you. Kind of stepping aside from photography a little bit. What are some hobbies you have besides photography? Like when you have some free time, what do you like to do?
Oh, free time. When do I have that?
Like if you have, like when you have free time.
When
if you're not busy with photography or athletics.
Oh, when I have free time, I don't know, just mainly hanging out with my girlfriend, probably just spending time with her. That's about it, really. Maybe going out to dinner with her. I mean, mainly my free time just involves hanging out with my girlfriend. That's about it, because she's my everything.
Because you're busy with.
I'm busy.
You're busy with.
She's busy too, because she just
time.
graduated cosmetology school, and so she's already working her butt off to become a master cosmetologist, which is great for her. And I already working my butt off for school, athletics, and my business. But you know what? It's worth it. We're trying as hard as possible and try to make a good future for us.
That's great to hear. But unfortunately, that we are all out of time with the show tonight. We want to thank again to MSU Athletics for having these three amazing students here for us tonight. Once again, thank you for Papa John's for being our sponsor for the Inside the Dam podcast. Don't forget to place an order over the phone or in person at 701-852-7272. I'm Logan Dean, and thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll be back next Monday for three amazing student athletes.
See you guys.